Spoiled baby gets his PS broken, freezes crying. Parents like this understand nothing about personal items, boundaries, nor respect. They rule with control and no regard for their child's individuality. I don't understand destroying things. I can understand removing things from the child, but I don't believe in destroying them. I've taken away many things from my kids, but never destroyed them, and I always returned their things. I guess parents feel they paid for those things and they can do what they want with them. Parents have the right to do what they need to do to discipline their children, but they need to think of the long-term effects they will cause. And my question would be, what are you teaching your kids by destroying their things? I've used those things as privileges and that they can only have privileges when they're doing the right thing. So yes, I can remove a privilege, but I can give it back as well if I don't destroy the item. Behavior like this is abnormal and indicates an emotional dysfunction. I have to presume the behavior of such a parent is, overall, out of control and will most likely result in the children having deep distrust, anger, and unresolved emotional problems. A builder has been dubbed Dad of the Year after he chopped up his son's PlayStation console. Builder Simon Shaw smiled as he fired up a cut saw and then used it to destroy the 400-pound computer as a pal filmed. The dad of two of Saddleworth, Greater Manchester, said, "Hello, everybody, I'm Cy. This is my TS410, and this is my son's PlayStation, which I've just been and got out of his room, because he has turned into a complete idiot, and I've had enough." He then cuts the computer in two before smiling into the camera. After the video was uploaded to Facebook, Simon was praised by some parents as Dad of the Year. Mel Bradshaw added, "Top parenting right there. I'll show it to them later, haha." But others joked his actions would leave him out of pocket and his would end up buying his son another one. Ralph Lettieri wrote, "Sorry, mate, but your missus will make you buy another one for Christmas. I do understand your stress." Jack Howden said, "I get the whole confiscate the computer, etc., but with the country being in this state and food banks asking for present donations, etc., that could have made a whole family's Christmas, especially when the kid's probably going to get a new one come Christmas." Richard White joked, "Until he takes the saw to your car, see who's laughing then." Stuart Garrett added, "That has to be broken as you wouldn't do that to your son. If it was mine, God help a car." James Fahey wrote, "I think there are ways of dealing with things. That's probably going to make your son hate you." Mr. Shaw refused to comment when contacted by the Sun. "Our children's gaming can be a source of conflict in our homes. It seems today's kids are constantly connected to their gaming consoles, neglecting homework, exercise, fresh air, and socializing in the real world. And some parents have taken extreme measures to tackle the issue." A Manchester dad hit the headlines last week after a video he took of himself sawing his son's PlayStation in half went viral online. Builder Simon Shaw from Saddleworth said he took the power tool to his son's gaming console because it, and I'm directly quoting him here, turned him into a knothead. "This is my TS410 and this is my son's PlayStation," he added in the video, "which I just got out of his room because he has turned him into a complete idiot. And I've had enough." The clearly calm, reserved, and rational Mr. Shaw grinned as he sawed the console in half, held the broken bits up to the camera before throwing them to the ground and making a rather rude hand gesture. Parents online had mixed feelings on the incident. Many called him Dad of the Year for taking such a strong stance. Others thought him a tyrant. He's not the first parent to use force to get their message across. A dad in America shot up his daughter's laptop with a handgun because she spent too much time on it. Another threw his son's Xbox in the swimming pool because he wouldn't get off of it. I don't get it. Why not just parent the child instead of using brute force? Our kids love their games consoles because they help them relax and unwind. Taking that ability to escape away from them in such a brutal fashion would have a serious detrimental impact on them. In taking a power tool to the PlayStation, something the kid no doubt loves dearly, only teaches him to overreact to scenarios that he feels frustrated in. He no doubt learned a lesson that if you can't handle a situation, lash out, shout, curse, and destroy something that matters to the person you're trying to dominate. Great message, Dad. Kids need discipline, rules, and boundaries. They need to know that if they cross those boundaries, then there will be consequences. Mom friends of mine have reached their limit with their child's gaming habits and the cheek that sometimes comes along with it, and taken their game consoles away. I know one mom, a nurse, who took an Xbox in her handbag to work one Sunday after an early morning argument over gaming. The child learned his lesson, and there was less cheek from him thereafter. There is generally no need to go to the length that Mr. Shaw went to. He's certainly not Dad of the Year in my eyes. He is an idiot who put getting likes on social media in front of the well-being of his child. I'm sure his boy felt fantastic being labeled, and again, I'm directly quoting him, a knothead all over social media. I'm sure this is something his son will feel resentful for many years to come. Destructive parents often mold destructive kids. This father would be much better placed to hold a mirror up to his own behavior before criticizing his sons. Instead of setting an example, discipling his kid, and dealing with his bad behavior, he let it reach the stage where he's out in his yard with a saw, shouting expletives, destroying an expensive game console, bad-mouthing his child, and then posting it all over the internet. If anything, he's, and I'm quoting myself here again, the knothead, and his kids deserve a medal for putting up with his aggressive, domineering tantrums. This wasn't the hardest time ever. Get ready to witness a kid's worst nightmare. A mom who grew completely fed up with her son's gaming habit decided that she needed to lay down the law. But instead of simply taking his PS4 away, she grabbed a hammer and went to town on the controllers, smashing them to bits while the things were still on. Obviously, the kid wasn't happy about it, but lucky for us, the entire demolition was caught on tape, and Viceland's DeZeus and Miro watched in awe at the Snapchat footage that captured the console's cruel demise. It seems that parents with PS devices and Xbox didn't end yet. It seemed like game box over the Xbox systems of a slumping American student after his father ordered him to smash the video game consoles with a sledgehammer for getting bad grades. The boy, Jason, had 3 weeks to improve his performance at school, and he apparently couldn't get it together. Jason's father ordered him to smash his beloved gaming systems with a heavy hammer after placing them on the grass in front of their home, and filmed the proceedings. The video, which is titled, "Good Parenting, Father Makes His Son Destroy One of His Xbox Consoles for Failing in School," has been viewed more than 53,000 times on YouTube. It was originally posted to World Star Hip Hop and has been clicked about 730,000 times. In the clip, Jason says, "It's not my fault and I hate my life," before taking the hammer to what appears to be a white Xbox 360 console. After he smashed the console, Jason's dad ordered him to do the same thing to what looks like an Xbox One. The boy refused and threw the sledgehammer to the ground. As his father yelled at him to pick up the hammer and finish the job, Jason stood by the console and cried. The father used poor language and then said, "You do it or I do it." The video ends with Jason holding the hammer and staring at the ground, but the second the console is still intact. Many commenters have praised the father for his heavy-handed approach, while others have criticized him for waiting 3 weeks before getting involved with his son's academic issues. Dr. Laura Markham, a psychologist and parenting coach, said the father did wait too long, according to Yahoo Parenting. Markham said, "Grades don't start when you get the report card, and 3 weeks isn't enough time to get good grades." Kids get good grades by keeping up with their schoolwork every day, and this is too late. Making your child suffer so he does what you want later will backfire. He's not going to suddenly start studying if no one is helping him form that habit. If the father did make Jason follow through with destroying the second Xbox, it would be an expensive lesson for the boy. Xbox One consoles currently retail for about $350. Other parents did the same thing as punishment. Some parents are way more strict than others, wanting to instill a sense of lawfulness in their offspring. Most of the time, this is just time out in their room or a temporary TV ban. However, Some parents take a far more no-nonsense approach. One dad shocked the internet with his extreme disciplinary attitude, filming himself destroying his son's Xbox in a video which has since gone viral. In the footage, the dad can be shown brandishing the Xbox while his young son cowers in the corner, apparently ashamed of his actions. The kid had apparently been repeatedly blamed stealing on his siblings. However, he had finally been caught red-handed after his parents set a trap. His dad gives him two choices for his punishment, an ass-whooping or his Xbox. Storming from the home, the dad demands his son follow him, commanding, "Get your ass over here." He then gets into the parked car on the drive with the Xbox placed sickeningly under one of the back tires. There is a horrible cracking sound as the dad reverses over the game console, shattering it to pieces. The scolded kid can be heard weeping in the background as his toy is obliterated beyond recognition. Meanwhile, one of his siblings can be heard yelling, "That was awesome!" with great enthusiasm. The footage then shows the young boy lying on the floor of the house, sobbing uncontrollably as one of his giggling siblings whacks him with a cushion. This video has certainly sparked a lot of debate over the appropriate level of punishment for a young child. Some fellow parents have applauded this father's attitude and believe this incident will teach the boy a valuable lesson. One person praised, "This is good old discipline, like it should be. If every stealing brat got a proper lesson from their dad like this, we'd have half as many punks in our jails right now." Another said, "All these people saying he wasted $300, I'm pretty sure my parents would pay $300 gladly for their kid to learn a lesson and not go to jail." However, others felt sympathy for the youngster and felt the life lesson could have been delivered in a kinder way. One disapproving person said, "This is terrible. Discipline is not that. It's showing your kids who is boss and setting the example they should follow. Like, for example, something they can know is the proper way for their children. This is just abuse." Another commented, "Seriously? That's actually child abuse. Of course it's wrong that he's stealing, but you ground him or take his Xbox away for a month. You don't destroy someone's property, and yes, it was his property since the parents gave it to him. Doesn't matter who bought it. If it was given to you, it's yours." Did this stern dad go too far? Every now and then, videos of parents disciplining their children pop up on the internet and receive mixed response. Often, these videos cause debates over how parents should go about doing this and whether or not outsiders have any right to comment on another's parenting style. When it involves the destruction of a gaming console like the Xbox One, however, gamers often end up getting involved. This most recent instance comes from the Bubba J on TikTok and shows the all-too-familiar yet tragic scene of a father destroying his children's Xbox One. Naturally, the children are incredibly upset by this, and the comment section shows a sharp divide on whether or not this kind of behavior is okay. Interestingly, the debate is less about how the father destroyed the gaming console and more about how he speaks to his children. Throughout the whole process, he continues to spout profanity at the kids that look like they probably aren't much older than 13 or 14 at most. From what little context the video gives, it seems that the children are or have been refusing to clean their rooms. In order to get his point across that this is not okay, the father takes the Xbox One, places it behind the wheel of his truck, and drives over it. This, of course, causes the console to shatter, but the father still comes back for another round, driving over it again to make a statement. The kids remain surprisingly calm during the debacle, though towards the end they do start to get more worked up. It seems like they won't be buying an Xbox Series X this November. There seems to be a relatively even split among viewers, with some claiming that this type of discipline is completely called for, while others find it to be a bit overboard and immature. The biggest argument against it is that the same effect could have been accomplished by simply taking the console away or without nearly as much profanity. Another good point to be made is that there are much better ways to get rid of the console without destroying it, as the Xbox One could have been donated or given away instead. For the same reason that small children bite, scream, or otherwise use destructive acts to try to force the people around them to experience the same emotional turmoil they are experiencing. Parents who lash out at their children by taking or destroying items their children are emotionally attached to have a childlike inability to keep themselves in check and figure out how to communicate effectively. These parents lack empathy and are willing to inflict pain on the children they are responsible for in order to get what they want. There is a difference from a parent who is restricting access to an item that a child is using inappropriately. A child who is gaming at all hours or using a phone to send compromising photos needs to have their access to that technology cut off for the benefit of the child. The adult is not taking the item away in order to make the child feel a feeling, but is taking the item away because the child should not have that item. Children have behaviors with outsized consequences, so sometimes parents must take away the item that facilitates the behavior. Ultimately, this seems more like a rage-fueled fit than a calculated move, and it's a shame to see these drastic measures taken. Viewers more than likely won't ever know whether or not this method was effective in teaching the kids to clean their room or not, so they'll instead have to just make their own opinions on the matter. The best advice I can give you is lots of family therapy. There's obviously tension in the family if your children are acting out so severely. You should go also to individual therapy to help you overcome the trauma of having a child at the age of 5 years old. Even if you think it's water under the bridge, childhood trauma is sneaky in that it can color our adult lives. Please get the therapy that you and your family needs. I'm sure that you can turn this dire situation around. Always let the punishment fit the crime. Did she torture a cat? Then the punishment fits. Was she late for curfew? Don't let her go out next weekend. Standing in a corner is for toddlers when you need to remove stimuli, but never for several hours straight. Your teenagers should be smart enough to learn from her mistakes. Help your kids, don't torture them. Life is hard enough. My advice for children of parents like this is seek mental health support. You're not going to win against controlling parents. You need help. Punishment is wrong and teaches the wrong lessons. Instead, teach, mostly by example, and use natural consequences. Concentrate on positive feedback. That's what exactly results in moral behavior. For example, the natural consequence of breaking a toy is losing a toy, and the natural consequence of breaking someone else's toy is replacing it. Grounding is stupid on stilts because it isn't a natural consequence of anything, rather being unrelated to the error made.